We're up. There was no transition. It just kind of popped right up there. I'll have to work on that for next week.
Well, no, no. Now I see it. Now I see it. Now it's translating.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little behind on YouTube from where we are in our
yeah.
apartment. So how are you?
I am great.
I'm
How?
gonna pretend that I didn't just see you like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I have a brain of a dog, or a memory of a dog, brain of a dog, memory of a dog. You know what it is.
Goldfish. Let's go with goldfish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, let me put us on mute there. Yeah. So we have some upgrades thanks to you, Mr.
Yeah,
Josh.
I wanted to give it a new look. Um, it we've had kind of the same thing since I started this 19 episodes ago. Like
Okay.
maybe I should have waited for season 2 to give it a refresh, but
Yeah.
I was working on the Retro Ranger show earlier today, so I was like, all right. I was like, I kind of put it together hastily when I built it the first time, so I wanted to rebuild a little bit now.
Hey,
Um,
well, it's like any episode of Star Trek ever. There's always
oh yeah,
mid-show replacements that have to take place on
I'm
the ship.
I'm going to treat our production design like Star Trek treats the production design of Klingons. It'll just
Oh,
completely change for absolutely no reason, and you'll have no idea why until season 18.
well, that hopefully we last that long. Bryce, thank you very much. You got a good compliment there from Bryce.
Oh, thanks, Bryce. Bryce's stuff looks pretty good too. If you guys get a chance, make sure to check out It's All Connected. Tuesday nights at 6. They are live. They talk about everything DC and Marvel related. And it's a good show to catch up on everything that's been happening with like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or WandaVision, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, or the new Suicide Squad trailer. I'm sure they'll be talking about that this
Mhm.
week. Um, there's a lot of exciting stuff that's been announced over the past couple of days.
Yeah, actually, one of the most exciting things for me, Netflix just announced that in this year alone, they are upping their game from they're almost doubling their amount of anime production.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're going to release about 40 titles. This just came out a day or two ago, I think. But they're going to release up to 40 titles this year.
That's
Uh,
that's crazy.
yeah. Now, they haven't
Has
named all
has
of them.
has there been any news on a new season of The Dragon Prince?
I have not heard anything about the new season of Dragon Prince, but the last one kind of ended it.
It went in a direction where it's like, okay, we can end it now, and this is a satisfying end, but it
Yeah.
also opened the door for a lot of new stuff too.
Well, there's a new one that just came out. I know that it dropped Dragon's Brood, Dragon's Blood,
Yeah. I
and
remember seeing
and
something about that.
just reading up on it, I put it on my queue. I'm going to be checking it out probably in the next week or so. But looking at that, I don't know that it is because I haven't read up on it. But looking at the synopsis of it, it looks like a spiritual successor, at least. Whether it's a precursor, if it comes after, or if it has anything to do with it. But
Right.
it says in a land where dragons exist. Dot dot dot. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. So that is good, and the animation style looks similar to Dragon Prince.
Right. Interesting.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll take a look at that while I'm finishing building my new dresser.
your new dresser. Yes, yes. It
I
is.
got halfway through it this morning. I woke
I
up,
could hear
man.
that.
So I fell asleep last night. So oh wow, I just blew up here. Not like
Not
blew
in a
up.
good way.
No. I'm gonna keep talking
Oh, I see. I see.
as I'm doing this. I don't know how this happened.
Well,
Filters.
at least you're not the one
Oh,
who
I know
becomes
what.
the Enterprise.
Yes, I know what happened. I hit the wrong button when I was sizing this before. So let me fix
Well,
that.
it does make the color palettes in the back look really cool. They kind of look like radiation, ebbing in and out. That's kind of cool.
There we go. Okay, that's better now.
Okay.
Um, last night, you and I went up to IKEA to pick up a
Yes.
couple of things. I went up to
The
pick up
largest
a new
IKEA
dresser.
in the world,
I,
is it?
it was when it was built. I don't know
Okay.
whether it still is or not.
Like
It's
the size of a small airport.
the IKEA in Burbank. I bought a new dresser because the one that I have behind me here that you can't see at the moment, it's a good size, but it's a little bit too small for all my stuff. So, and I have a lot of crap around my room. So,
Show everyone. Move the camera.
well, then I'll
Show
have to move it back.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
show them tomorrow. After we talk about what we're gonna do tomorrow. So anyway, after we got back, I passed out within like 20 minutes or half an hour. I was out by like 11,
Dang.
maybe 11:30. So I woke up at
Shake
7:30 this
Shack got
morning.
to you, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so I woke up at 7:30 this morning, and I was just like, oh, what am I going to do at 7:30? All right, well, I'll watch the 3 episodes of Power Rangers that I need to watch, and I'll watch the episode of Enterprise I need to watch. Ended
Right.
up watching them twice
Oh,
because I had so much time while I was working on everything.
so you better have twice as much
Um,
stuff to talk about today then.
Yeah, so I got halfway through before I had to stop. But no, anyway, back to stuff that's actually related to Star Trek. Not completely related to Star Trek, but sci-fi stuff in general. I get sidetracked super easily today. I'm on my second Red Bull.
Sci-fi track.
But uh yesterday, I don't know how many of you guys saw it yesterday, but we got a new trailer for the Suicide Squad, which looks amazing. I'm really excited. I am so happy that Starro is the villain in that. If you guys don't know who Starro is, if you head over to the Illuminerdi.com, we have a write-up on the trailer and some information about Starro, which we actually have known about since August, but we just got official confirmation of that yesterday.
Yeah.
That was good. And we also got from Gary Whitta, he dropped a preview of what he's been working on for the sequel to The Last Starfighter. And I am so excited for that. This was like my favorite movie growing up when I was a kid. Because
Mm-hmm.
I was into
Now, even more than Close Encounters.
yes. Like
Okay.
Close Encounters, I didn't get into until I was older, like probably out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Starfighter, that was for me. That was me as a kid going, if I get really good at video games, I could save the galaxy.
I think that was everybody's dream. It was like Star Wars, but for everyone.
Yeah, and so I after seeing the teaser that Gary would have put out and
Mm-hmm.
listening to the music, I was like, I need to watch this movie again. I had bought Arrow Video came out with a new high res transfer. It's not 4K; it's only 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks really good. It sounds really good. Um, and
Is it so good though that the effects look bad?
I mean, the effects kind of always looked bad.
Okay, okay.
They look like the graphics out of Tron. This movie came out in 1984,
That's
so like
true.
the computer graphics in this were 1984 CGI.
But the video game for 1984 looked all right.
Yeah, well, because it was made to take advantage of what it was, so
Did
it
they
kind of fit that style.
was there ever a arcade console version of it?
I want to say yes.
There was a Nintendo game of it, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
I'm pretty sure there was. I haven't kept up with that side of it, but I think so. Uh, but this teaser has like literally, I am so, like this is now like my most anticipated movie that's probably going to be coming out in the next couple of years. Just because it's like Tron. Like I was so excited when Tron 2 came out, and
Hmm.
like I love that movie. I don't care like how bad it did at the box office or how not like the original the storyline actually was. It was a fun movie, and it was
You
like it was
Tron
great.
Legacy, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great getting to revisit that universe. I haven't seen Uprising. Like I'm a bad fan because I haven't watched the animated show
Anime.
yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was just so much fun. And in watching and rewatching The Last Starfighter, I realized there are a number of Star Trek people in it.
Yeah, you were saying that the other day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Again,
rail them off.
I'm a bad tech producer because I didn't create any graphics or anything to show these people off or do any of that stuff.
Hey, you were busy working on the new
So
setup.
just all
We'll
kinds
get
of
that
stuff.
stuff in
So
next week.
yeah. So Mark Alemo
Mhm.
was who played
Gold
Gul
Dukat.
Dukat in Deep Space Nine. He was the skin suit of the assassin who came down to destroy what was the Beta unit,
Mhm.
but he didn't know that at the time. Will Wheaton had a very brief appearance as the little brother's friend,
Okay.
and Kerr, or not Kerr, Zur. I was trying to say Kor because that's another Klingon, but
Right.
Zur, who was the bad guy, ended up being the Klingon in the episode of the Next Generation where they cloned Kahless.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
So like
It's
just
it's got some history.
yeah. And it's outside of like the main cast in that movie, like the acting is pretty bad.
Yes.
Like you can tell that this was the first movie or role for a lot of these people that were in it, or like maybe
Hmm.
they had come from theater and they were used to like the Otis, the guy
Mm-hmm.
from the trailer park. Like you could tell
The
that he
guy
was
who, yeah.
like he was a big over actor.
I loved him though. He's one of the
Oh
few
yeah,
characters from that movie that I still remember because he's just like, "Come on over here. He's gonna beat the record."
right. Like all these people in this trailer park had absolutely nothing better to do with their lives, and just how excited they got about him beating his high score in that video game was just so great.
But wouldn't that be wonderful if that's the only thing in the world you had to worry about was the random trailer park kid who lives there beating a high score in a video
Right?
game?
Like it's one,
Oh,
but it's one of those things that like it's that little slice of life type thing where you're like, man, if this was the kind of place that I lived in and I didn't really have to worry about anything, this would be
mhm.
great. But at the same time, I would be so bored.
Yes, yes. My grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, they lived in a trailer park, and I loved visiting them. I loved visiting them, but I was so thankful that we lived nearby because there were no other kids in the trailer park.
Mm-hmm.
It was a community of older people, and so like I mean, of course, I wanted to be the nice kid and be like, yes, nice to meet you, whatever. But there's only so much you could be like, oh, you're their grandkid, da 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 da, you know.
Yeah. See, for me, like, so I grew up. I didn't grow up in the same kind of place that he did, but I was in um like a small ski resort town
Okay.
in the middle of the Poconos in Pennsylvania. Like I was, you know, the Billy Joel song Allentown.
Yes.
I was 40 minutes away from Allentown. Like
So
maybe
so you're
an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Philly, and maybe like 2 hours south of New York.
okay. So
Uh,
you're in the middle of everything in
I
the middle of
yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. I could probably, I probably could have walked to New Jersey if I wanted to, from where I was.
But who would want to do that?
Well, ask me if I ever walked to New Jersey.
Did you walk to New
No.
Jersey?
uh, but so like I could relate to that because like while there were a bunch of kids, like, you know, my graduating class in my high school was like maybe 280, 300 kids.
Okay.
So it like compared to what we have out here in LA or I had down in Florida when I was in Clearwater and Tampa, really small.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like my high school was the only high school in my town.
Okay.
You know, there was another town over that had a high school,
High school.
but it's
And
like,
and they were who you played against
yeah,
every
yeah, exactly,
Sunday,
yeah,
yeah, or Saturday night.
right. But you know, the big thing to do in my town was to go hang out outside of the roller rink.
Okay, okay. The roller rink's kind of universal, though. Roller rinks were
Yeah,
big in California, in LA,
yeah.
you know.
But you know, if that's not your thing, then it's just like, okay, well, what are you gonna do?
Oh, then you didn't even have an arcade or anything like
There
that?
was an arcade at the mall,
Okay.
but
That's where I hung out.
yeah, it was just one of those places where you're like, okay, I've been to these 5 places in town. Now, what am I gonna do?
Now what's next?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
And
could relate.
skiing was out of the
I
question.
didn't understand that.
But Bixby did not understand that. This is
Oh,
the second time that's happened today. I turned it like I don't understand. Like it's on mute. Why is Bixby talking to me?
Bixby knows.
I don't know.
Bixby knows.
But yeah. So anyway, I'm excited for that movie. I'm excited for the
Mhm.
Suicide Squad. I don't know. What have you seen this week that you're excited for
Oh,
outside of the anime stuff that you mentioned
outside
on
of the
Netflix?
anime stuff. Well, I actually there I can say one thing that I'm watching right now. I've started up Dora Hedora on Netflix. It's an anime, very strange anime. And I'm excited about continuing through that because this it's one of those anime that I don't know what's going on at all. Like, I don't know why people are fighting against each other. I just know that they are. You kind of get thrown down in the middle of it. So I'm excited about that. You showed me the Suicide Squad trailer.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
Starro. I mean,
I
King
hope that
Shark.
I'm right that King Shark. Oh my God, Sylvester Stallone voicing King Shark is brilliant. But I hope that I'm right that Nathan Fillion is the voice for Starro.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I
that
don't. I
would
don't
be
know who he's gonna be.
hysterical
Mhm.
if Starro, this giant kaiju star coming out, and the voice of Nathan Fillion. But not Nathan Fillion doing a character voice or anything.
Just
Just
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion talking like he does in Firefly, which, by the way, one of my favorite shows ever. Um, I did see Promising Young Woman. I know that movie's kind of off the beaten path for
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about, but
I've heard that's really good.
it's fantastic. Oh my God, everybody in it was so good. It did not go where I was expecting it to go throughout the entire film. Um, and then what Devereaux say there? Double score or roller rink with an arcade? Yes, yes. Take that back. But yes, as far as upcoming things that I'm excited about, um, let me get back to you on that because my brain
Okay.
is melting down.
Um.
I just got over on yesterday. You saw me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like
You're
I
like,
just got over the side effects from the coronavirus vaccine. So I'm happy to have the vaccine. I was not happy to go through
just
that night,
yeah,
but
yeah. I
one
bet.
night of it is better
Than
than
6 months or whatever.
six.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but I started watching Debris,
Yes,
the NBC show.
you didn't talk about it on the stream, no.
It reminds me a lot of Fringe in a
Hmm.
lot of ways. It's fun. If you're into like high concept sci-fi type stuff,
Yeah.
it's a good show. I would definitely recommend watching it.
Does it
Um,
feel like it's stealing from a lot or making it its own?
um, it feels like I you can watching it, you can definitely feel where it's taken inspiration from, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's charting its own path too. It seems like
Okay.
we're only 3-4 episodes in, so
Okay.
we'll have to see where that goes. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I did think of something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got Paramount Plus, and I've started watching Invader Zim because
Nice.
I had to go back through Invader Zim. I love that show. But there's this weird documentary that they've got. I'll have to remember the title of it. I'll look it up in a second here. But it's about this man that went missing in the middle of this mountain town in the middle of nowhere. He went missing back in like 1936 or something like that. And it was just one day he walked outside and he was gone. And so this family has spent the generations now, I guess that'd be about 3, 4 generations, trying to solve the mystery of what happened to this
Huh.
guy in their
They
family.
they don't think they
And
just like went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back.
and never came back. That's sad. I mean, it's very
I mean,
possible that he went to his other family, but no. So like the family has spent decades trying to figure it out, and you've got old timers in the show who are just so sad that they have not figured it out, and they don't want to die without figuring out this mystery. And then so the creators of the show are one of them's a member of the family, and another is a friend of his who has like investigative experience. I'm only in the first episode. I'll pull it up right now and get the name. But that show I'm really excited to
yeah.
see more of.
Something else I'm really excited for tomorrow. We will be making our grand return to Twitch. We
Yes.
Shay actually accidentally streamed the wrestling show to Twitch last night or last weekend. So that was, I guess, our official return, uh, but by accident. Tomorrow we will be making our first deliberate official return. We picked up this week. We got actually. Let me grab the game. I will be right back.
Okay.
Dance or something for the people who are watching.
Dance. This is the this is it. Oh wait, no, there we go. Devereaux will get this. I just did. I'm not going to give away the lines to it, but I just did this, which is from Cop Rock. Uh, yeah, I showed Shay. You wouldn't watch it.
No,
But there's a
Cop Rock is
song on
so
top.
horrible.
It
It's
is,
so bad.
but it's so bad that it's good bad.
Oh,
It's one of
God.
those things. Oh my God. And there are people on it. Oh, you know what? Um,
Ronnie
um,
Cox is in it.
Ronnie Cox is in it.
Captain Jellicoe.
Quark is in
Is
it.
he really?
Yeah, Quark.
Armin Shimmerman.
Armin Shimmerman. Armin Shimmerman was in an episode of it.
That's
For
crazy.
for heaven's sakes, for heaven's sake, that is the documentary on Paramount
Okay.
Plus.
On Twitch, we are going to be playing Star Trek Galactic Enterprises from WizKids.
Speaking of Quark.
I don't really know much about this game. We were just looking for something to do on Twitch on Amazon that was Star Trek related, something that would be fun, that would kind of copy over. But this is, let's see, designed by Christoph Bollinger, developed by John D. Francisco and Walter Ortiz, and the graphic designer was Bridget and Delicato. I'm not really a board game person. Like, I enjoy board games. So those names don't really mean anything to me, but for people who know board games, maybe they do. But the basic idea behind this game, profit is where you make it, even on Deep Space Nine. Sitting at the mouth of the Bajoran wormhole, Deep Space Nine is a vital commercial port and defensive outpost for the United Federation of Planets. As a player whose role as a merchant with a shop on Deep Space Nine's promenade, it will be your job to satisfy the needs of thousands of beings that come in and out of the station each day. You will try to purchase items, both legal and illegal, for the best price. Then, you can sell those items at an inflated rate, because you are providing a service, of course, and make a tidy profit. However, your fellow shop owners are doing the same thing and will try to undercut you at every turn. They will use every trick in the book and even make up new ones to make sure they bring in the most latinum. Because in the end, deep down inside, everyone is a Ferengi.
Brandon Braga would have something to say about that, to be honest. He has a quote in regards to today's episode.
Nice.
That is quite hysterical.
So this game sounds fun. I'm excited to play it. What did we decide? 2:00 tomorrow?
2:00 tomorrow.
2:00 Pacific time tomorrow. So that's 5:00 Eastern. 3:00 Mountain.
Yeah.
Sure.
If for anybody that's
Mountain?
in Europe, that's probably the next day.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, no. Yeah. Day behind us. I don't know.
Something like that. England.
I don't know.
I know. Like, England is ahead of us by like 9 hours.
Okay. So yeah, maybe the next day.
Yeah. So that'd be like 11:00 at night.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So almost the next day.
London is 9 hours ahead of us. I don't know. I don't know if other parts of England are in different time zones or not. But anyway, let's jump into this episode. This episode
without further ado.
It's season 1, episode 19, called Acquisition. It is the Starfleet's and apparently the Vulcans' first run-in with the Ferengi. Really quick before we get into this, just want to address the chat. Thomas Franco is again pointing out that he is here to support the Illuminerdi, even though he's not a fan of Star Trek. To which I would say, become a fan of Star Trek, Thomas. Just watch it. It's just an hour a week.
We will totally make you a fan of Star
Although
Trek.
I guess to catch up with us, it's 19 hours, but you know.
I don't know. Are you not a fan of the original Star Trek, the TOS?
Which I can completely understand.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like asking somebody to watch Doctor Who and not telling them, "Oh, start in 2009 with Chris Eccleston."
Right. Or be like, "Hey, go watch Land of the Giants." Or be like, or the original Lost in Space. Like, I completely understand why people would not like those today. It's just a completely different style of TV.
When Battlestar Galactica, the reboot came out, which apparently I guess a new one is in the way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I am excited about? I'm excited about King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh yeah, next week.
I'm really excited about that. That lands next week.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fun. And Mortal Kombat the week after that, 2 weeks after that.
I think 2 weeks after that, April 16th, I believe.
Yeah, it sounds right.
I think the 30th for King Kong Godzilla, and yeah, Thomas Franco is still not a fan of Star Trek at all. Okay.
Maybe if the Enterprise transformed into a giant robot, would that make a difference?
They need to do that. Does that happen on the lower decks? Maybe.
It should.
I
It
mean,
should.
that's the one platform
Well,
where it
they
could.
did in season one they did a holodeck episode
Hmm.
where uh they made they made a movie
Yes.
on the holodeck. It was so
Okay.
much fun. So maybe in the future that like that can become a thing on the holodeck. Maybe they can turn the Enterprise into a transformer.
Right. Right.
Um,
Um.
but anyway, let's jump back to this episode. So
Yes.
this episode again, it's the first appearance chronologically, not actual in universe, but chronologically, it's the first appearance of the or I guess in universe, it's the first appearance of the Ferengi, not
I,
the first appearance of them on the
well, on
on
the
Star
show.
Trek in
Well,
general.
technically, the first appearance of Ferengi would be during DS9 when they go back to Roswell.
That is true.
That is technically the first introduction of Ferengi to humans.
Yes, I solid point. Solid point.
But yes, in terms of Starfleet interacting,
Yeah.
this would be their first. Although uh, I noticed and I researched just to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. The Ferengi never identify themselves as the Ferengi in this
No.
episode.
And I wanted to go back and watch the Next Generation episode where they met the Ferengi
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
like it I don't remember that episode. I remember the episode because Armin Shimmerman was one of the Ferengi in it.
Yes.
But I don't remember like the actual plot or what happened.
Right.
But in my
They were
brain,
just kind of jerks.
yeah, in my brain, it felt like Starfleet had never interacted with the Ferengi before. Like almost like this was like their first, like really their first meeting with them.
Technically, from what I read up, Picard is the technical
First
not first
contact.
encounter, first contact with Ferengi by Starfleet standards, because
Okay.
that is when the Ferengi are identified as Ferengi, and then contact between them continues. However, prior to that, there in Enterprise, there is a time where they fight a Ferengi ship without the Ferengi ship being identified. There is this point. But if at the end of the episode, Archer even says, "I'm notifying the Vulcan High Command." He doesn't mention
Mm,
anything about Starfleet.
yeah.
And then, um, and then in Roswell, they like the government came in and quashed all that.
Right.
So,
Right.
maybe it's in a file back where Indiana Jones's stuff gets locked
Top
away.
men.
There you go. There you go. And now we know that Indiana Jones is in the same universe as Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
So Thomas, you've got to like Star Trek now. If Indiana Jones is in Star Trek, right?
Yeah. Sure. Give me like a plot overview of this. Where like what's the catalyst for the actual episode for the actual storyline that's happening throughout the episode?
The actual episode storyline. So you start out with the Enterprise picks up something from a planet surface. Turns out that it's an Acme bomb that puts everybody to sleep. And then seriously, so everybody's passed out. The Ferengi come on. Apparently, this is the way that they use to get in there and steal stuff. And then turns out that you've got Trip in underwear. So this is the Trip in underwear episode that everybody's been waiting for, I suppose. I'm not. Anyway, so then he fumbles around. Turns out they wake up Archer anyway. So why the heck Trip had to be running around the ship in his underwear? I don't know. I really don't know. That bothered me a lot.
But what I want to know is where were his clothes?
Um, he was in decon.
Right.
Um,
But like, wouldn't he have like gone through something and like taken his clothes off before going in there, and then just been
okay,
able to go back out and put them back on before he goes running around the ship?
okay.
Like was
So
he wearing shoes? I don't remember.
no, in decon he wasn't. And
But when
then
he got out to the ship, was he wearing shoes?
actually, I'd have to go watch that again. I don't think he was because
I did. That's not
he
something I paid
starts
attention to.
Well, this is something that got me. Apparently, everybody else had problems with the continuity stuff with the Ferengi.
Right.
However, honestly, looking at it all, the writers did a really good job of keeping it continuity fluid. But my problem was that Trip is in decon, which there are plenty of episodes where we're all like, don't get out of decon. You can't get
Right.
out of
Right.
decon
Right.
yet. We got to keep you in decon. It takes him 2 seconds to pry open the door. Now granted, he's the engineer,
Right.
so we probably missed the 5 minute, deleted scene of him pressing buttons, but like, he can't get Dr. Phlox on the line for all of 5 seconds, and then he decides that he's got to break out, and he's got to break out before he puts on any clothes. Maybe his clothes got incinerated. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe.
I don't know. He was on the ground like asleep in decon when he gets introduced. So I don't know what was going on with that guy. But yeah, exactly right. Why can't he put on clothes? What's the whole joke about? Oh, I've got to go find clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. If you can decon in your underwear, you can decon in your clothes.
Right. Yeah, that's why. That's why. But that's what we were talking about, like way earlier in the season with DePaul, when she was in there wearing like the skimpy tank top and the
Yes.
short shorts. It's just like I get it. Like I understand the
Yeah.
reason that was happening,
Yeah.
but like in universe, I don't understand the reason that it was happening.
Well, I guess it's happening because Bryce wants to get a hashtag going.
Well,
uh,
if I ever get into a conversation with Connor Trenier somewhere, like if we get the chance to interview him somewhere, or I just run into him at a bar when they reopen, I'll make
yeah.
sure to ask him, be like, hey, so why couldn't you put your clothes on in that first season episode? I'll say,
Speaking of interviews, do you have something for us today?
I do. I do. Let's let's cover the beginning of this episode, and then we'll hop over to
Yeah.
that.
I just wanted to tease something
Yeah,
for LinkedIn.
yeah. So I've coming up. I've been talking about this for the past like 2 months now because I did this interview back in January, and I am a bad editor. I'm not good at coordinating my time very well. So a lot of things come out a lot later than I want them to. But the first half of this interview went up. It's on our website already. It's with Michael Dorn talking about Agent Revelation, a movie that he shot back in 2018 and came out back in January. It's a sci-fi movie where he plays like a
Kind
wealth
of a Morpheus.
sort of like he's basically a wealthy industrialist type guy who discovers that aliens are trying to influence things on Earth and has created a organization to combat them.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Revelation is the follow-up to the original movie Agent, which came out, I want to say in 2015 or 2016 from Derek Ting. But the second half of my interview with him was basically all about Star Trek stuff. We briefly talked about Invincible, which just dropped on Amazon Prime.
Which looks great.
But I cut that out of the interview because he didn't remember doing the voice for it. So I was like, there's no,
Oh,
like, I felt bad after I asked him about it because I was like, hey, can I ask you about Invincible? And he was like,
what?
is that coming out? I was like, fuck.
Wow.
So
Wow.
like I
Well,
could
that's a
like it wasn't a bad interaction. Like he like
no.
he wasn't mad about not remembering it. It just didn't make any sense for me to include it. So
Of course.
I just stripped it out.
Of course, of course. But how cool of a problem is that to have that, like,
Right?
I'm so busy, I can't remember something that's going to be an important piece of animated work?
Well, from the way it sounds, like he's a nerd himself. Like
Mhm.
he's into sci-fi stuff, but he doesn't necessarily know um, everything about everything. So he really might not be familiar with
Yeah,
like its place in the geek spectrum, um,
fair.
and how how much people are actually looking forward to it. But
What is his role in it?
he's one of the villains.
Oh, so
I
he's got a pretty
Yeah,
major role.
I'm honestly I'm not familiar with the comic. Like I
Mhm.
know it exists and I know the basic
Okay.
idea behind it, but I don't know the story at all. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to watching it just so I can get familiar with it myself.
I
Um,
just like the animation style of
yeah,
it. It
so
harkens back to the old Batman Beyond and stuff.
yeah. So I don't know if he's like a recurring villain or if like he's like a big bad or if he's just in like one or two episodes
Gotcha.
and then gone. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, so I talked to him about a bunch of stuff about Star Trek. You know, his thoughts on the Klingon redesign from Discovery. Yeah, we'll get that playing in just a few minutes here. But before we get to that, I just wanted to touch on who these Ferengi are because that's kind of exciting. One of them is yeah, you guys know Heirloom from his Power Rangers and Sentai stuff. He does one of the Sentai shows here with Bryn. But he also has made a couple of appearances here on the Riker Maneuver for Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Enterprise. His favorite, the actor who portrays his favorite character, Neelix, is one of the Ferengi.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
so I saw that and I like immediately I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in.
Okay.
This is it. Because like even like no matter what your feelings on Neelix are, he's a good he's a good actor.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. I like Neelix.
He's
It,
like it's weird. Like I know a lot of people that like Neelix and a lot of people that don't. But
I can see how he'd be annoying.
yeah, Ethan Phillips is just like he just seems like a fun guy.
He's phenomenal, and Ethan Phillips swings that electric whip that Ferengis have better than
Yeah.
they ever did in TNG. He looks so badass in that scene.
And then Krem, who is our
Hmm.
favorite guy, Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs
Making another appearance in Star Trek Enterprise.
as
Uh,
another Ferengi, and he was worried originally that it'd be too similar to Brunt.
really,
Hmm.
I
But when he got the script and he realized, oh, this character is nothing like Brunt.
interesting. And then there were four Ferengi total. The third one of the other ones was Grish. Or wait, were there three or were there four?
There were four.
That yeah,
The other one
we
was
didn't.
Clint Howard
Yeah. So
and
Ulyss was Ethan Phillips.
Ethan Phillips.
Grish was played by Matt Malloy.
Malloy. He's the only one who has not been on any other Star Trek episode.
And then Muck was the fourth one, and that
That
was
was Clint
Clint
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah, I want to know what it was like for Matt Malloy to work with the three of them, because the three of them have history on Star Trek. Of course, Jeffrey Combs does, and Ethan Phillips do.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's the odd man out as far as coming into set, and everybody else has familiarity, and then he's just like, oh boy.
Yep.
But
So
he did
yeah,
fine. I mean,
yeah.
for what he was asked to do.
As soon as I saw all these guys, though, I was like, "This is gonna be a fun episode."
Yes.
Because like everything with Ferengi is just so much fun.
Now, your opinion on Ferengi, are they comic relief or are they serious? Because
Yes,
fair enough.
it's a little bit of both. I think in Deep Space Nine they kind of became comic relief. But in Next Generation, they were kind of nefarious.
Hmm.
They
Yeah, they were
like in TNG they came across more like Romulans a
yes,
little bit.
yes, they very much did. And there's actually from the episodes, uh, I think it's from the episodes early on in TNG when they encounter them on that one planet with the creature, the voice in the sky creature.
Sorry,
Oh, what you got?
Bryce just said that he thought I was about to say that Heirloom played one of the Ferengi.
Why not? Why not?
That's
Um,
if we ever get the chance to make it to a Star Trek convention and he's able to come, we will now we have to make him dress up like a Ferengi.
Shut up as a Ferengi. But Worf and Data have both commented on the surprising strength of. Well, not commented. Data commented on the surprising strength of Ferengi, and Worf actually had a tough time fighting them. So something that fans were up in arms about was Trip takes one of the Ferengi out in one punch.
Right.
The Ferengi gets up pretty quick after and back in the scene next scene, but Trip gets him in one punch. I watched the episode though, And something that Trip does right before he hits him is he bites him in the ear, and we all know that
Yeah.
that the ears are super sensitive.
But also,
So,
this is what 200 years before a Next
uh,
Generation.
150 to 200
150
years,
to
something
200
like
years.
that.
So
Mhm.
in that time span, it's also possible that Ferengi learned how to fight better.
Yeah, it's very possible that they also, the Ferengi that got sent down in TNG were more of the warrior
Yeah.
class. If you're going to go with the like Klingon, they were maybe the warriors,
Right, right. Whereas
whereas these guys
these
were a
guys were
bunch of
thieves.
journeymen. Yeah, they were absolute rogues.
Like these guys essentially. Uh, this episode was kind of Die Hard.
Yep, yep. It definitely kind of felt like that. It definitely felt like that.
Like Krem was more or less what's his name?
Snape,
How am I losing his name?
Professor Snape.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and thanks. Now I've lost his name too.
Oh, man, I'm such a bad person.
Al.
No, Al was
Alec Rickman. Alan
yeah,
Rickman.
Alan Rickman, but what was his character's name?
Oh God,
That's
you
oh my
rascal!
god. Someone watching, tell me
I,
what
I
Alan
I'll
Rickman's name
I'll look
was.
it up real quick.
Because
And then we'll take all your guesses.
this is driving me nuts, and I feel like an idiot
Oh,
now.
oh, oh, duh! I remember what it is.
What is it?
You got to give three guesses before I tell you.
Okay, let's watch this interview with Michael Dorn, and I will think about it while this is on the air. While
You
that's
can't look it
playing.
up. You can't look it up.
I
And no,
I
nobody
won't.
in the chat give him a hint. Nobody give him a hint.
All right, so let's go ahead and play this video. This is about the entire interview is about 9 minutes. This gives us a little time to talk about Alan Rickman and his character from Die Hard.
I'll give you a hint. His last name sounds like a baby food.
Gruber,
There
Hans
you
Gruber.
go.
I feel better now. All right, enjoy. Roll the tape.
Roll.
Is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna roll the
action.
tape. Have you been working on anything while all this has been happening this year?
Just voiceover still, doing some voiceover auditions, doing some voiceover work. Also, they've been sending me auditions that you do at home, basically on camera. I got a little thing set up downstairs, and you do all the, you can do auditions downstairs. And, writing. I'm not a writer per se in terms of, I'm not one of those guys, oh, write this. And I go, okay, here you go. But I write about what I'm passionate about. So I wrote this, I wrote a Worf spinoff a while ago. And then I just finished this Western opus. I call it my Western opus. In fact, that should be the title, actually. I think I'm going to change that. But, and so I finished that, and we're going to start pitching it probably February.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So for your war spinoff, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but have you been in talks with anyone about coming back for any of the current Trek series that are in production?
No, they have not asked me to make an appearance. But that's kind of life. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So no, there doesn't seem to be any plans in the works.
It's a shame. I really want to, because I like, not only do I want to know what Worf has been up to for the past 20 or so years, but I'm also extremely interested in what they are doing with the Klingon design now, because obviously they changed it a bit for Discovery, and that was 900 years in the past before everything was explained with Enterprise about how that shift happened. So now I'm like so curious about what they want to do, because we haven't seen them yet.
I don't have you seen Klingons in the Picard show?
No, we haven't seen them there, and as far as I can remember, we haven't seen them in the current setting in season 3 of Discovery either. So it's interesting.
So that Mary Chieffo, she's not back.
No, at least not yet. We'll see if she makes an appearance in the Pike series, Strange New Worlds, which is supposed to go into production soon, or the Section 31 show that's also like I said before, it's so much. What did you think of that redesign? Did you like the directions that they went with the Klingons, or did you have other thoughts about that?
I thought it was amazing in terms of what they did, but I'm always like sort of to keep it simple, is what I always thought they should do, and I think that they want to go so far out and explain so much that I think they lose the idea that. That Klingons are a particular way, or a particular race, and they have a particular thing, and that's it. But I just was blown away by it. But like most of it, you kind of go, so what does that mean? Why is it like that? And the other thing that gets me is they have auditions, and people go through tons and tons and tons of auditions. Really, really good actors. Like Mary is wonderful actor.
Yeah.
And then they put everything on their face. It's like there is nothing there, And you go,
yeah,
it makes no sense whatsoever, But I always thought that, they go really, really far out there. They went really, really far out there with the Klingons, and they had to come back.
Yeah,
which is so funny. I think there's a bit of it that's, and this is sort of like runs the kind of Star Trek gamut, is that when we did our show Next Generation, it was still like in those days where there was one producer and one director, and I mean not one producer, one associate producer, a producer.
Right.
There weren't a lot of people, it wasn't a committee. And so you had one guy's idea of how it should be. And they were able to kind of take it and talk about it and, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And they kind of honed it down to it made sense in the whole Star Trek timeline. And even between the original Klingons, which were just makeup and a beard,
right,
to the movie Klingons, which were a little more elaborate because they had to be, and then to my Klingons, our Klingons, a little different. There was always a thread that you could follow, and I think it kind of takes people, the audience, kind of out of that thread, and you have to kind of bring them back,
right
here, and then they go, oh my God, and you go, well, no, it's okay, there's still Klingons, come on back, it's okay. So I think it really is, I call it ambitious. I mean, they were very ambitious with that. But like I said, I just think it's a hilarious thing. They find these wonderful actors and they cover them up where you can't see anything, So
yeah, I guess that's the risk of doing these sci-fi shows is all of that. Which is something else. My last question for you, because I know we're running a little low on time here, is that you do seem to spend a lot of your time working in the sci-fi genre. Everything from Star Trek. I know you were in Heroes and a lot of other sci-fi productions. Is sci-fi? Is that genre something that speaks to you? Were you a fan of sci-fi in general before that, or is it something that you just kind of fell into?
Oh no. I'm old enough to remember all the Twilight Zone, and a lot of people don't remember The Outer Limits, which was really, really good too. Mm-hmm. In fact, sort of like the Twilight Zone was kind of A television, and the Outer Limits was kind of B television, but they told really, really great stories. I mean, amazing stories.
That's another one. Amazing Stories in the 80s was another one of those.
And and all the the sci-fi movies, the B movies that came out, my brother and I on Friday night, we'd be under the covers, scared to death at these things. And I've always loved science fiction. I mean, when Star Wars came out, I was right there. When, the Star Trek movie came out, I was right there. So I'm a big science fiction fan. I mean, I think that, and that's the thing, is that when science fiction first started, they didn't have the budgets. It was all B movies, and it wasn't big budget movies. And so, and it played into their hands, because all of these science fiction movies were talking about stuff that's happening, nuclear war, racism, aliens coming down. What do you do with a race that's more advanced than you? You're not the top dog in the universe, I mean, it just spoke to all of that stuff for years and years and years. And even when the new Star Trek came out, I mean, the original, I mean, we saw, a black woman on the bridge. You never see that, you see, a Japanese guy, a Russian guy, and you saw a real multicultural there, which you don't see.
Right.
So, and they were able to tell stories. Every week was a story, because they did. I mean, if you look at the special effects and the sets, I love it, because it's really charming to see.
Right.
That you have a screen, and it's just a picture. Somebody just put a picture up there, and that's the screen,
Right.
It was so, but you didn't care, because the stories were just fantastic. So I've been a huge fan. And somebody said to me one time, "Hey, Michael, look, are you afraid of getting typecast?" And I said, "Look, if they typecast me and they say, okay, Michael, you're going to be in science fiction for the rest of your life," I'd say, that's fine with me. I'm happy as a clam.
All right, so we are back. I know that was a long interview. I hope you guys who were watching enjoyed it. It was interesting. I know, Jamie, you didn't really get to see it since it was on the back end.
Well, I got to see it. I just didn't get to
hear it. But no, we talked about like a lot of fun stuff. I think one of what the most interesting thing for me was that no one asked him about coming back for any of the new Star Trek shows, whether it's being a voice in Lower Decks or making an appearance on Picard, or just being a completely random character in Strange New Worlds or Discovery. Because as we've seen, like in this episode, people who have been on, maybe it's because he was such a prominent character that they don't want him. Like people going, "Oh, that's Michael Dorn, that's Worf."
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, because like Michael Dorn is probably one of the least recognizable people when he's in makeup and out of makeup. Like Ethan Phillips, I can see Ethan Phillips under there. Jeffrey Combs, I can easily see Jeffrey Combs. But Michael Dorn, he disappears into Worf. And maybe it's because he really does something different with his voice when he played Worf versus how he normally talks. I don't know what it is, but like when I see Michael Dorn and then I see Worf, I have to do like oh,
wait a second. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't see they haven't burned his face yet. And I mean, they don't even care about burning faces. What's his name? Tuvok.
Tim Russ.
Tim Russ. Tim Russ played a Vulcan.
But he came back.
Twice.
He came back as a main character. He didn't go from being a main character to coming back as a one-off. So that might be the difference there. But Ethan Phillips was a main character.
Yeah, Ethan Phillips was the entire run.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's I think that's a little sad.
How do you think? I mean, in what he wasn't saying to you, how do you think? Was he hurt about that, or was he kind of hopeful?
It was honestly, it was a little hard to tell. I don't know for you guys watching, who saw that part of the interview where he was talking about not having been asked. What do you guys think? Because like to me, it seemed like a no. Like something that he would totally and completely be down to do, but not necessarily upset. But that might have just been him being like having come to grips with it. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's throwing us off the set, and he's actually being Picard.
That's entirely possible too. It's interesting because like I watched an interview with Colm Meaney recently. Because he's in a new show on, I think, either Amazon or Netflix or something, and of course they had to ask him about Star Trek, and he was asked whether or not he'd consider going back, and it seems like he's just not interested. Like it seems like if he was offered the right thing at the right time, that he would be like, yeah, I'll come back for this. But like if they said, hey, we want you to come back for a season run, I don't know that he would.
He like if he was a one-off, if they
asked him to come back and do like a voice for like maybe either Prodigy or Lower Decks, it seemed like maybe he would be down to do that, or make a one-off appearance in Picard or something. But if they were to do like a new movie or do like a whole like TNG reunion episode like series or something, it sounded like he wasn't really all that interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, we sit here on this side and we're like, "Are you crazy?" Of course, you jump at that. But who knows? I mean, even Katie Mulgrew said she wasn't interested until she heard about the way her character was being utilized.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like he's one of those guys where I would love to see him, but he's kind of moved beyond it, and you can kind of tell that too, because like I don't think he really does the convention scene. I haven't seen him being announced for any of those.
Okay.
He didn't take part in the DS9 documentary. So
true.
I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see Michael Dorn come back for something. I know he Joe had also interviewed him for Screen Rant for the same thing, and Michael Dorn said that he'd be interested in possibly coming back and doing something else with us again in the future. So we'll see if we can get him on again just to chat. Like I just like talking with these guys. Like just more of a conversation. Like I obviously I want to ask them about all of this stuff, but
of course. But at the end of the day, they're just people, and
just talking to them about their career and what they've done, and like just like talking to them about their career, but not necessarily centered on just the one thing.
Yeah, of course. And I mean,
and just talking nerd stuff in general. Like he said that he was a big fan of the Twilight Zone. Like I'd love to talk to him just about like what his favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone are, and just like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know.
And that takes us back to good old William Shatner, who just celebrated 90 this week.
Oh man.
Wow.
But let's actually jump into this episode. We're going on.
We talked a bit about it.
Yeah, we're going on an hour now. Just barely scraping the surface of it.
There's a lot to scrape in this episode too.
Yeah, I mean, like the plot itself is very, very simple. Like there's not a whole lot to it, but there's just so many fun moments in this episode. Basically, like I said, it's Die Hard. The Ferengi basically found a way to break onto the ship to steal it because they thought that the Enterprise was a merchant vessel and that they would have a vault where they were storing all kinds of valuables and gold pressed latinum, and they'd be able to steal all of it. So they've gone through and they woke up. Excuse me. They woke up Archer, forced him to help them pack things up and show them around the ship.
But Trip in underwear.
Trip is sneaking around. Archer saw that he was free, and the two of them conspired to get the ship back. I really enjoyed seeing Archer kind of turn the tables on the Ferengi in that first scene when he realized who they were and what they were doing there. When he was like, "Listen, I will tell you where the vault is, but you're gonna have to leave. Like, give me half the gold."
Yeah, right. And I love that bad acting between him and Trip, where they do like the "No, you will not take my wife." And then they do. I don't know if they meant to do it this way, but they do actual bad stage combat too. When so Trip barrels into him, they go up against the wall. When they get up again,
they're just grappling.
Like They're just grappling, but they're not even like in it grappling. They're just like, it's almost, you're hugging it. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. All right, you ready?
Well, I mean, they
like
did
that.
go through those crates pretty hard.
Yeah, they did. I mean, boxes. Yeah. Oh, scary boxes.
Like Fisher-Price toys.
Exactly. Well, actually, Fisher-Price toys might hurt depending if they're like the Lego plastic
just,
type.
Like, step on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be okay. If I was breaking onto a ship and I was leaving traps behind for people, it'd just be Legos. I just like drop Legos all over.
There's a study done as to why walking on hot coals or broken glass is easier than walking on Legos.
Really?
Yeah. So long story short, you can Google this, but seriously, there's been studies done. So broken glass is, if the kind that you walk on, it's broken up in such a way that it'll disperse when you step on it. So there's not enough surface area of any one particular piece of glass to cut you. With hot coals, as long as you're moving quick enough and the coals are dispersed enough, similar deal. With Legos, there is no give. Legos are that solid hunk of plastic that we are not ever heavy enough to press. Like, they can take a ton of stress before they'll give.
That makes sense.
And that is why they hurt so bad.
I mean, that makes sense because, like, when my Chucks, before they came out with the Chuck 2s that actually have the insoles, the things at the corners for people who are have bad eyesight or are blind, to let them know that they're at the corner, like those yellow, like standing on those, like that hurts if you if you're either barefoot or if you have shoes that don't have any kind of cushioning on them.
The rough thing. Right? Yeah.
So that completely makes sense.
So would that be like stepping on a Ferengi? Would that hurt?
I guess it depends on where you're stepping on them.
I don't know. I'm just trying to link it into the episode.
I don't know. But yeah, so this episode was fun. The whole thing with Trip claiming that Hoshi was his wife. Like, why do you think he picked Hoshi instead of T'Pol?
By that point, hadn't he already woken up T'Pol?
Well, yeah, T'Pol was awake, but they weren't going to wake them up. He was just using her as an example. Like, he was just like, because she was like the Vulcan, and he was like, no, her name is Hoshi.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the writers had already started to figure out that he was into T'Pol, and so he couldn't admit that to himself yet. So he had to say Hoshi because he's actually interested in T'Pol.
Because that's where my mind went. Because guys, like, again, the plot here is really simple. But it's the character moments that really, and that's one of them where I'm like, I wonder why he picked Hoshi.
And there's only so much you can do in an episode where half the episode is Archer moving stuff to and fro, and the Ferengis just trying to open up the secret door.
But I liked again, I liked with Krem, with Archer, where he was like planting these seeds. That the others were taking advantage of him.
And at the end of the episode, it plays off perfectly.
And oh man, like, I think one of my favorite scenes though was when Archer got him to do the work himself.
Yes. Oh, my back.
It's like, I hurt my back. Krem was like, but if we don't have this done by the time the others get back, they're going to be mad. Well, you better get to work then.
Better get to work. Exactly what he just got told a second ago. And I love how Archer does it again.
Because he knew like how weak of a person Krem was.
Yeah. I was going to say that it was also funny how his bad back was also bad acting, bad back. It was like, oh, I've fallen and I can't get up, kind of. But yeah, he definitely plays on Krem's weakness. But by the end of the episode, Krem, because when Krem says "shut up" to Ulyss, to Ethan Phillips' character,
Ulyss, something like that.
I think Ulyss is how he says it. But Ethan Phillips, they give Ethan Phillips a reaction shot to that "shut up" from Jeffrey Combs, and you would see him go like, "Oh,
that's new."
It was great. I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Even that little just
was okay.
Add in.
So was there anything in this episode that you didn't like?
anything that I
Yeah,
didn't like.
anything that stood out where you're like,
I didn't like that four of the main characters weren't utilized at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I really don't like episodes where we don't get to see anything from some of these
This
actors.
felt like another episode, sort of like the Shuttle Pod 1, where they were trying to limit the amount of people, even though they had brought in 4 new actors. Like maybe they spent their budget on Clint Howard and Ethan Phillips and Jeffrey Combs, so they couldn't afford to bring the rest of the crew in.
But I mean, they're paid for an entire season, so they're paid to act. They have to be on camera, and if they're not on camera, there has to be a good reason.
Yeah.
For the I think 7 major players in Enterprise. So I was a little disappointed that they weren't utilized as much. Do we even see Phlox?
No,
I don't remember.
As far as I can remember,
Phlox.
we only see it to Paul, Archer.
Yeah. Oh no, we
Trip.
see Phlox. He's bent over
a console.
Yeah. He's bent over a console in there.
Yeah, we see a few of them at the beginning.
Yeah, we see him at the beginning. Do they have any lines though? Oh, to Paul does.
Yeah, but we see her later in the episode too.
Yeah, we do. To Paul, we do. I remember reading somewhere that 4 of Phlox, Hoshi, and 2 others don't have any lines.
Yeah. Well, we'll scroll that. I'll scroll down to the continuity and all those notes and everything after we get through this. But I mean, it's funny because like as good as this episode is, there really isn't a whole lot to actually talk about like story wise, because it's like I said, it's a very simple episode, but it's just really fun. I think one of the moments that stood out for me that like not something that I didn't like, something that I wish they had played off a little bit more though. When after T'Pol gets the keys to Archer's cuffs, and she walks up to him and she's like humorless, complains all the time, and she's just like standing there. Like I wish she had like put the keys just barely out of reach and then walked away, or just played with him a little bit, because it ended when he was like, "That's an order, sub commander." I wish she would like just been like, "I'll show you who's humorless."
He did a good job though of putting some like in the inflection that he used. It was almost like worried that she would actually do that, but that would have been great if she should like go
like,
get him.
Almost got him.
You know, just yeah, I guess that's. But the episode is pretty straightforward. There was one moment for Tucker when you're talking about Die Hard, and it's almost like when McClane is going through the air ducts. But so you got I think it was when they were in sick bay, and then they leave sick bay, and then Trip just kind of like peeks down.
Oh yeah,
I just went out of there, but he peeks down from the ladder.
The scene where Trip is walking them around, like where he's showing them where the vault is, and he just keeps walking them in circles, just in different ways.
Everything looks the same. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a fun episode. It was fairly simple. I liked that, and I'll go ahead and segue into like teeny facts about the show or whatever with this one. But I like that the first roughly 10 to 15 of the episode was all the Ferengi, and we hear them talking their language, which I couldn't remember if the Ferengi had spoken in their native tongue prior to this episode. Apparently they do in Menage a Troy and in Little Green Men.
Because the universal translator wasn't working. Off. Yeah.
But it was so brief in those episodes that I guess whoever wrote for those episodes, they didn't do a full language creation, because pretty much the Ferengi have spoken in English as far as, most episodes. But for this episode, the writers, they came together, and what they did is they wrote the lines in English that they wanted the actors to say. Right. Then they translated those lines into French, and then they broke that up in a way in order to create the Ferengi language. Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
We talked about this before, that the actors who played the Ferengi, with the exception of the one, have appeared in previous Star Trek series
And Star Trek's,
or episodes.
including Clint Howard. No, was it Ethan Phillips has actually been in Undiscovered Country?
So all of these actors have actually guest starred on every previous Star Trek series.
Really?
Yeah, so Clint Howard was Baylock in the original series, the little kid, the little green kid.
Yes.
He was also Grady in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Past Tense Part 2. Ethan Phillips, of course, we know he was Neelix in Star Trek Voyager. He also appeared as the Ferengi Grand Proxy, who was Neelix in disguise, so that doesn't really count. But he also played Dr. Ferrick in Star Trek The Next Generation, Menage a Troy episode, which is the other one with the Ferengi that you were just talking about. Oh, and he was in First Contact, he was the hologram, the maitre d' at the restaurant when they went into the holodeck program to avoid the Borg. Jeffrey Combs, obviously, the other Ferengi we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, he was Brunt and Wayun in Deep Space Nine, but he also appeared in Voyager as Pink, and obviously Shran, the Andorian in Enterprise,
and a few others,
and then Mike Malloy. Obviously, Matt Malloy hasn't been in any other Star Trek stuff.
No. So they got to bring him back, right?
Right. Yeah. He should come back for like a Discovery or Strange New Worlds or something.
Yeah, he finally needs to get back in there.
You had mentioned earlier that they didn't name the race. So in the continuity, the episode goes out of its way not to reveal the name of the race to which the Marauders belonged, since official contact wouldn't occur until 2 centuries later in Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, The Last Outpost. And they also never named the Borg when they eventually meet up with them too.
That's true. They don't. And Ulis, Ethan Phillips, even has a line in here: "Who we are is not important."
Yeah. Muck references the episode "Dear Doctor" when he asks, "Do I look like a Menk to you?" Which was
that was the planet where there were the two cohabitating life forms. One was the lesser evolved people that were kind of cared for by the smarter people.
Right. Because the astronaut told Archer that they had made contact with the Ferengi, a species unknown to either humans or Vulcans, and they had refused to help them. Then we get an official number for the rules of acquisition in this episode, which hadn't been really given away previously. There are only 173 rules at this point, but we know that by DS9 there's 285.
Yep. So they added,
and there were 112 in TNG.
And something interesting. Wait, there's 112 in TNG.
That's what it says here.
So they got
wait. Sorry, I'm gonna reread this again. The Ferengi rules of acquisition, which are referenced herein, consists of numbers 6, 23, and 45. So those are the numbers that they reference. We learned there are only 173 rules of acquisition at this point in history, as opposed to 285 by the 24th century, and 112. So 112 rules will have been added by the time of TNG and Deep Space Nine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Makes sense.
I was about to say it went down in TNG.
Let's see.
There should be one more interesting fact on there regarding when Krem gets Umox from T'Pol.
That looks like that's down a couple. This episode states that the 6th rule of acquisition is never let family get in the way of profit. By the 24th century, it will have changed slightly to never let family get in the way of opportunity. The energy whip is seen here for the first time since its introduction in TNG: The Last Outpost. T'Pol's masquerade as a Vulcan love slave might be the genesis of the Ferengi fascination with the idea and the resultant holosuite program. DS9 relaunches novel The Grey Spirit claims that Krem, who received Umox from T'Pol, is one possible author of the original Vulcan love slave novel.
Yep. That was kind of
we learned in this episode that there are 14 weapon lockers on the Enterprise. The Ferengi pad used in Deep Space Nine appears here with new LEDs and is a Ferengi scanner instead of the pad device.
Mm-hmm.
And then being without his uniform, Tucker borrows a junior science officer's uniform and wears it throughout the episode. Tucker is the only crew member to wear all 3 division color versions of the Starfleet uniform in the series, as he later wears gold Command Division uniform in the episode Twilight. So that is all the continuity. You said that Brendan Braga had an interesting quote about this episode.
Yeah. When asked about doing an episode about Ferengis, he basically said, "There's no excuse for Ferengis. There's never an excuse for Ferengis
for using Ferengis."
For using Ferengis. Yeah, I guess he really didn't like doing this episode, or in hindsight,
that's interesting
because
this was fun.
It was a fun. What would you rate it?
Honestly, I'd give it a 5
out of 5.
Really? Yeah, you know, it's one of those episodes where there is nothing bad about this episode, and this would normally for me be like an average episode, like, because there was nothing particularly great about it either that stood out, but it was fun. Like just being a fun episode goes a long way for me.
All right. I'd give it a 4. I'd give it a 4.
What knocked it down?
That there's nothing really consequential in the episode. It's a filler episode that is completely filler. It's fun for the fact that I get to see Ethan Phillips and Jeffrey Combs and Clint Howard play. And I like to see the kind of the thing that the Archer and Trip have going on. It shows their relationship and whatnot. But really, honestly, I'm giving it a 4 simply because it's a fun episode. I would possibly even give it a 3.5.
If this episode wasn't fun and didn't have the kind of humor in it that it has, I'd probably give it a 3.
Yeah.
But I think it's middle of it as far as like story goes and everything. It's very middle of the road. But because
but they did a good job presenting.
Yeah, just because I enjoy seeing Scott Bakula be funny, and just like kind of have fun being a character.
Yeah,
like that just goes a long way for me.
It is good to give Scott that, because especially as the later seasons come, or not later. I mean, it's not like there's that many of them, but he definitely becomes more grounded and more almost unhinged in ways. But the other thing I do like about it is that they are able to, as with the Borg, shoehorn in a species that technically has not been met yet.
Right.
And they did it rather well.
And I mean, even the Borg, like, I mean, that's, I think, 2 seasons away. I think we're like 2 seasons away from that. I think that was like season 3.
I think it's the end of season 2, beginning of season 3.
Like, but even that kind of makes a little bit of sense though, because we know from First Contact that the Borg ship had crashed on Earth, so it only makes sense. Like, I'm honestly surprised they never touched on that in like Discovery.
True.
Unless I guess by that point Starfleet had completely cleaned it all up.
Which is possible because Section 41?
31.
Section 31. Yeah. I mean, maybe they took all that information.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
don't know. One last thing before we wrap out of here. I did also really enjoy the end of the episode when they're making the Ferengi unload everything and put everything back where they got it from.
Yeah,
like like the way Trip was watching them as they were placing that. Like, I don't know if that was a torpedo or whatever it was back on the hole, back on the holder for it. I was just like, this is great, because this is exactly what I would do if I caught someone like robbing my house.
Yes. Oh, and honestly, when the episode played, I was like, oh man, they're just going to use the teleporter and get it. Oh, they can't. They don't know how to do that kind of stuff yet.
Yeah,
at least not in bulk quantity.
To me, that's like. It's not really being a dick because these people stole shit from you, but it's revenge. It's just revenge. It's like, well, you took all this shit and you're gonna put it back where you got it from.
Speaking of revenge, I'm gonna get revenge on you tomorrow on Twitch. I don't know what I'm getting revenge on you for, but I'm gonna revenge myself against a slight that you have not done me.
We'll see. So yeah, I guess that really does it for wraps up our discussion on episode 19 of season 1 of Star Trek Enterprise. We are quickly approaching the end of season 1. We have, I want to say, 5 episodes
7?
left.
Oh yeah. It's only a 24 episode season.
Is it 24 episodes?
I think 24, and then yeah,
Let
I
me
think
see.
so.
I'm gonna pull up the list here. This is the alphabetical list. I don't need the alphabetical list. While I'm pulling this up though, so yeah, we are quickly approaching the end of this. So we've only got like a little over a month to go before we get there.
Oh no, it's a
Is it
26
So
episode
7
season.
episodes.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes left.
26 episodes. So 7 episodes left. Our next episode is Oasis. Let's see, this episode, we're actually back on track with the day that they were on too. This episode aired March 27th, 2002. The next episode aired April 3rd, 2002.
Wow.
In Oasis, the crew finds a derelict spaceship from which they can salvage some supplies. Only they find that the ship is not quite as deserted as they were led to believe.
And in great Star Trek fashion, we have a recurring actor, an actor who played a lead role.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do I want to give it away?
I mean, we were just talking about it earlier, so go ahead.
It's Renee Auberjonois. I apologize. I don't know how to say his last name.
Well, it's French, so
Auberjonois, who unfortunately, I think he passed away earlier this year.
I believe it was 2019 or 2019 or 2020. Yeah. He's another one of those actors who he is excellent in everything that he's in, even if it's a really shitty movie.
He's a fantastic character actor. He's
in one of my favorite animated movies, The Last Unicorn.
Who was he in Last Unicorn?
He was the voice of the skeleton that really wanted wine. He's also in another really great 80s movie, My Best Friend is a Vampire.
Yes.
Which is also a really bad movie, but he is excellent in it.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, it'll be.
But yeah, we can.
We'll talk about more of what he has been in, more about him later in Deep Space Nine and in this episode. Again, that is episode 20, Oasis, and we will be back with that next week at 2:45 on April 3rd. But tomorrow we will be live on Twitch. I'm going to say at about 2:00, just in case I've got to rearrange some things to get us going. So just in case things get a little hairy with setting up the tech, and we will be playing Star Trek Galactic Enterprise. I'll post about it more on social media later, along with the link to the game. I believe Shay is going to join us. I don't know if we're going to have anyone else, but the game is good for up to 8 players. I don't have quite enough space for that in my room, but we'll see if maybe we can get someone else.
Hey, but we've got a new studio.
So we'll see what we got going on. But that's it for us for today. So again, tomorrow 2:00 Twitch. Tomorrow at 8:00 back here on YouTube. Join the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order for everything that happened this week in the world of professional wrestling. Everything from AEW to New Japan to WWE. Tuesday, we have It's All Connected with Bryce, who was in the chat with us earlier, and Richard talking about everything from the world of DC and Marvel. Thursday night at 11:40 is our live watch along of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 3. And then we started all over again on Saturday. So with that, live long and prosper.
Engage.
Yeah. I gotta find the right button.
Vengeance.
Sure.